Hey everyone, and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be doing an itty bitty knit kit that I got from Five Below. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we're going to be doing another itty bitty knit kit. This was a viewer request. If you have any requests, leave a comment below, or if you don't want to wait for me to find the kit, you can always take clear images and send me the instructions, and I might be able to help you out. So let's open this kit here. Just FYI, the images on here look photoshopped. So if it looks like perfect, it's never going to be perfect, especially if they Photoshop it. So this kit comes with stuffing, knitting needles, felt stickers, and felt little pieces here that you sew on, and some spools of yarn and a plastic needle along with the instructions. So this video is going to be a supplement to this kit. If you want to make it yourself, I highly recommend that you go out and get the kit either at your local Five Below or the Five Below website. I won't be showing any instructions, but I will be going over new stitches at least 3 times step by step. Let's see what's in this pouch. Got the knitting needles, the stuffing, and the felt pieces along with the felt stickers. And the, wow, this looks red. Why? Oh, it matches. Okay. It looked like chocolate in there. I guess it's not. I guess it's some sort of mystery red liquid. Plastic needle. If you need to speed up or slow down this video, click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. Alright. Let's get started with this. One thing that I like about these instructions is that there's illustrations along with the text to help you complete this project. It also comes with its own ruler, so you don't have to go out and buy one yourself. But at the same time, this is all subjective. If you are a complete novice or complete beginner, you could follow this step by step if you'd like. It's your choice if you want to follow how I do it. I've only been knitting for, oh my goodness, I don't even want to say, 20 years. Anyway, so pick and choose. Alrighty, let's get this started. So we're going to be making rectangles. There's a total of 3 of them, and the good thing about these instructions is that it only uses one type of stitch. So once you learn this one stitch, you can make all the rectangles you want on here, on top of making any other project that involves this one stitch. You can make table runners, pot holders, scarves, stuff like that. Alright, so we're going to start with the pink. And I try, if I can, to get the yarn from the inside. You can try to find the outside yarn here and pull it, but then you'll have to remove this band, and then it'll roll around like crazy. So I'm going to try finding the inside, and I might have to pull a chunk of the inside out. And that's okay, because you end up using it all anyway. But once it gets itself situated, it won't be rolling around while you do your project. It's going to pull nice and cleanly out of this little spool here. So I'm just going to grab a chunk. I can't really see it. Again, it might be a little intimidating with the amount of chunk that you pull out, but that's okay, because like I said, you eventually use this stuff, and then afterward you can put a little paperweight down, and you can just start pulling. It'll be fine. Alright, so I am doing this for righty. If you have any need for lefty, it's pretty much reverse, but leave a comment below. It will be tacked on a very long list. I didn't realize how much help everyone needed with these kits, but after doing them I can completely understand, because these kits aren't beginner friendly. Alright, so what I'm going to do off camera, I'm just going to get the length of tail that the instructions are asking for, and we're going to come back in. I'm going to show you how to start casting on stitches onto your needles. Alright, so I have the length that they're asking for. This is a lot. It must be something huge we're sewing together later. But you're going to want to take your tail length and just put it down here. I'm going to drape it over my table like this. The feeder yarn you want to keep up and out of the way. Basically, you want to keep these two ends separate so you don't confuse the two. I have in the past started using the tail end as the feeder yarn, and once you've run out of that yarn, you're like, oh shoot, whoops. Alright, so I'm holding this pinched area where that tail mark is, and I'm going to hold it nice and tight. You've got your middle and ring finger here. We're just going to hold a bit of ways apart. This can be kind of loose. So what we're going to do is take our two fingers here. We're going to lift up from the bottom. We're going to turn it down to make this loop here. Then I'm going to take my my index and my ring middle finger and pull the feeder yarn through the loop to create this huge knot that you see here. So I'm going to pull the top side of this yarn that we pulled through. You don't want to pull the bottom end where the tail, where the feeder yarn is connected to. So what we want to do is tighten up this knot and pull it, push it towards the thumb. This is going to eliminate as much waste as possible. We're going to get this knot as close to that tail mark again so that we don't waste too much yarn. So keep pushing this down until the knot won't go down anymore. So I kind of wasted just a little smudging, but that's okay here. So once you get the knot to where you can't push it down anymore, what we're going to do is take the tail end and we're just going to pull it a little tighter. There's always room to make things a little bit more snug. You don't want to pull it too hard. Just a little tight enough to make that knot nice and snug. So now we have this huge loop that we have to work with. Well, what we're going to do is pull the feeder yarn to make this loop a lot more manageable. So take your feeder yarn here and we're just going to pull this until the loop can fit 2 knitting needles. Okay. So once you get that down, we're going to slip our needles in here. You can tighten them up by pulling onto the feeder yarn if you'd like. And then we're ready to learn the first stitch. So, like I said, they only use 1 stitch in this project, so it's fairly easy once you get the hang of it. So let me show you how to do this stitch. It's called a knit stitch. It's one of the basic stitches of knitting. And the way you start is you take your 2 needles and you just want to make an X. But how you make an X is you want the right needle in the back, left needle on top, and you want your feeder yarn towards the back. You don't want it in the front. Alright, so gather up some yarn here around your finger, your feeder yarn. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. This is your knit position. To make a knit stitch, what you're going to do is take your feeder yarn and we're going to wrap it around the right needle from back to forward. Okay, then we're going to pull this down between the needles. You always want your needles to touch, so if you can see here, there's a very small smudging of that needle touching each other, and you want to keep it touching always. So take your feeder yarn and pull it down. You're going to feel or hear it snap. You want to get it into that triangular space caused by your needles touching. And because your needles are touching, you're not going to lose the feeder yarn through it. But yeah, you want to get your feeder yarn in this little triangular space. Alright, next what we're going to do is slide the left needle down the right needle and then down the back. And it's going to push, the right needle is going to push the feeder yarn through this loop. So let me show you what that is. So we're sliding it down the right needle and down its back. The point, as you can see through that loop, it's pushing that feeder yarn through that loop, creating a new stitch on the right needle. So now you have a stitch on the left and a stitch on the right. To cast on, what we do is you have to transfer this right stitch onto the left needle. So take your left needle and don't lose it. Okay, and poke it through that new stitch. We're going to lift it off the right needle and it's going to transfer onto the left. So now we have 2 stitches. So let's do that again. Stick your needle into the new stitch that we just created. Get into your knitting position, which is the X. We have the right needle in the back, the left needle on top, and we have our feeder yarn towards the back. Okay, next steps are we're going to keep these 2 needles touching. We're going to wrap around the feeder yarn around the right needle. So go back to forward, and then we're going to pull it down. You're going to feel or hear it snap. Okay, then we're going to get into this little triangular crevice here. From here we're going to slide the left needle down the right needle and down its back, and it's going to force the feeder yarn through this stitch. So let's do that now. And then you can kind of see the point pushing the feeder yarn through that loop, creating a new stitch. We're going to take our left needle and pick up the right stitch and remove it off the right needle. So now we have 3 stitches onto the left here. Let's do this one more time with you guys. So stick your needle into the newest stitch here, get into your knit stitch position, an X, right needle on the bottom, left needle on top, feeder yarn in the back. Always keep the needles touching. We're going to wrap our feeder yarn around the right needle from back to forward and down. We're going to feel or hear it snap. It's going to go in this little triangular crevice here. We're going to slide our left needle down the right, down its back, and it's going to push that feeder yarn through the loop, creating a new stitch. And then we just have to transfer that right stitch onto the left by picking it up with the left and removing it off the right. So now we have 4 stitches here, you guys. Alright, so from here I'm going to complete the rest of the stitches required in the instructions, and then we're going to come back in and I'm going to show you what to do next. So I have the number of stitches needed for this project, and the next step is to do a row. So what I'm going to do is basically it's the same process that we've been doing, just a little different. So for this project in particular, whatever number of stitches you have on your left needle, you're going to end up with the same number on your right needle. Okay, and that's just for this project. Other projects may vary and it will tell you, but let's do this. All right, so what we're going to do is stick your needle into this first stitch here, and we're going to get into our knit position. All right, from here we're going to keep our needles touching. We're going to take the feeder yarn and go back, wrap it around the right needle, back to forward, and then down. You're going to feel here it snap. Okay, get it into that crevice there. We're going to slide the left needle down the right needle and down its back, and it's going to push a loop through that stitch there, creating a new stitch. Now, like I said, we're going to be taking the same number of stitches on the left and transferring it over to the right. So now that we created a new stitch on the right needle, we have to lose a stitch on the left needle. So carefully push down your stitches. You're only going to remove off one stitch like that. So there we have it. We have one on the right minus one on the left. Let's do this again. Stick your hook into the next stitch. Get into your knit position. Right needle on the bottom, left needle on top, feeder yarn in the back. We're going to wrap the feeder yarn around the right needle, back to forward. Keep the needles touching. And we're going to pull this down. You're going to feel or hear it snap. And then we're going to slide the left needle down the right needle. And it's going to force the feeder yarn through that loop, creating a new stitch. And then we're just going to remove the stitch off the left needle like that, because we've gained a stitch here and we've lost a stitch here. All right, so now let's do this again. I guess one more time with you guys. Stick the needle into the next stitch down here, and we're going to keep our needles touching, get into our knit position, left needle on top, right needle on the bottom. We're going to take our feeder yarn to the back here. We're going to wrap it around the right needle, back to forward, and down. You're going to feel or hear it snap. Then we're going to slide the left needle down the right needle, and it's going to force the feeder yarn through that loop, creating a new stitch. So we've gained a stitch on the right, we're going to lose a stitch on the left. Carefully remove it. So now we have 3 on the right minus 3 on the left. So keep on doing this, and then we'll pop back in and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so that was a quick one. Rewind this section until you feel comfortable doing this on your own, but we're gonna move on till we get to the length of the rectangle that the instructions are asking, and that's why you have the ruler, so you can measure out the length for yourself. Now, so as we see here, this is pretty straightforward, you guys. We're doing one stitch, and once we get all the stitches on our right needle, you just flip it over and do it all over again on the left. And that's pretty much it. So I really hope that me showing you how to do a knit stitch just opens the doors to doing this in confidence, because it's really that simple. But again, just rewind this part until you're comfortable. I'm going to pop back in and we're going to do the red rectangle, and then we'll start that whole process again, and then we have one more rectangle after that. But like I said, I'm going to do this all in silence. Alright, so I completed the length that we're supposed to make this rectangle. So what's left is to, hold on. My stitches came out on the other end. Yeah, hold on. There's just too many stitches here. I don't want to lose it. Alright. Be right back. I gotta fix this. Alright, I must say this is like the first project that had a lot of stitches, so just be careful. You can scrunch them down, but make sure they don't pop out of this end. Some of the needles that they have are just blunt. They're not round like this, so it wouldn't kind of just slip off like that, but just be aware for in case. Alright, so we're going to cast off, and what we're going to need to do is knit 2 stitches. So let's do that now. 1 and 2. Now from here, what we're going to do is leapfrog this stitch over this stitch and then completely remove it off the needle. So stick your left needle into that stitch there. Again, we're going to leapfrog it over this one, and you can hold it back with your finger, but we're going to slip this one off the right needle and then off the left needle, so we are left with 1 stitch. So let's do this again. Knit another stitch, because you always need 2 stitches on the right needle to cast off. So now that we have 2, pick up this stitch. We're going to leapfrog it over the next. You can hold it down so you don't lose it, but we're going to remove this stitch off the right needle and off the left needle. So we're back to 1. One more time with you guys. So stick your needle into the next stitch and do a knit stitch so that we have 2 stitches on our right needle. We're going to pick up this one, leapfrog it over the next. Use your thumb to hold that stitch down, and then we're going to slip this stitch off the right needle, off the left needle. All right, so you just keep doing this until you get down the line. You can rewind this video until you are comfortable doing a cast off. And then when we get to our last stitch on the right needle, I'll show you what to do then. Yeah, let me just do this. Okay, we're down to our last stitch there. So what we're going to do is cut about 1 inch or so. And we're going to yarn over this needle. So take your feeder yarn and yarn over the needle. You can hold it with your index and middle finger. Then we're going to grab this needle and we're going to leapfrog it over that yarn over, off the right needle, off the left needle. So we're back in this situation, but now you can just pull this out through the loop, and then we're going to tighten this up, and then you're good to go. So we completed our first rectangle. I'm just going to set this aside, and we're going to pull out our other yarn for our next square here. And this one is a different kind of spool. They pretty much just wrapped it together like this, that I don't necessarily enjoy, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to unravel this. You could roll it up into a ball to make it easier for you. I don't do that. I just struggle, you know, the whole entire time. Because it just seems like a lot of work, but in hindsight, if you roll it up in a ball, maybe it saves you time too. So it's up to you what you want to do, but I'm just gonna work like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do off camera is just, again, get the tail length for this square. Alright, so I have the tail length. Again, I'm just going to pinch it where the tail length is. I'm going to make sure the tail hangs down this way and their feeder yarn is up this way. I'm going to take my middle and ring finger and hold it apart. This is going to be tight. This is a little loose. Take 2 fingers, pull it up. We're going to turn it down, and then we're going to take our index and middle finger and pull the feeder yarn through that loop. It's going to be a large knot, as you see here. We're going to pull this top part, not the bottom part that's attached to the feeder yarn, because we're going to push this knot towards the thumb and making the knot tighter and tighter. This is going to prevent any waste, or at least prevent a lot of waste. Once you push the knot down and you can't push it anymore, see, I have this much left between the tail measurement and the knot. That's okay, it's not like it's a lot, but we're going to pull the tail out just to make that knot a little bit more snug. And now we're working with a large loop. So to make this more manageable, pull the feeder yarn and make that loop smaller enough to fit 2 needles. Okay, and then slip the needles in here. You can tighten it up after you fit these needles in. And then we're gonna start casting on the number of stitches that we need for this rectangle. They're all named rectangles, even though some of them are squares, because rectangles are actually a universal term for square. You can call a rectangle a square, but you can't call a square a rectangle, because a square would have to be perfectly square, and a rectangle can be whatever. And that was a little bit of math for you, some geometrical math that somehow I remember after all these years. Okay, so we're going to get into our knit position, and then we're going to start knitting, casting on our stitches. So I've already shown you guys how to do this 3 times. I didn't get to show you the cast on, so that's why I showed that to you. So we've done it twice. Now you guys, I'm just gonna I guess go ahead and silence, and this is going to be basically the same steps that we did for the last rectangle, but I'm gonna pop back in when we have to cast off, so that we can go through that a second time. But yeah, so let's just finish casting this on, and then I'll do this in silence. So, again, you can always speed up or slow down the video if you need to. And if you don't need to hear me talk, I don't know if I mentioned that, you can lower the volume on your device and click on the CC closed caption button. Alright, so once you've completed all the stitches that you need for this, we're going to go straight into doing the next row. So we're just going to go in and do our knit stitches, and rather than casting on to the left stitch, we're just going to remove a stitch from the left needle. Again, we're going to start with the same number of stitches on the left and move it over to the right. And that way, you know, it's good to count after each round. I know sometimes it's like, you know, ugh, why? But especially if you're starting out, it's good to make sure that you have the same number of stitches all the time. Alright, and once you complete the first row, you can do a flip and then start the second row. So again, I'm just going to do this in silence. Alright, so I completed the square. We're now going to cast off, and again we're going to do 2 knit stitches. Alright, then we're going to leapfrog this stitch over the next, hold it down, remove it off the right needle, hold it up, or remove it off the left needle. Then you're going to do another knit stitch, leapfrog this one over the next, hold it down with your finger, remove it off the right needle, move it off the left. One more time, do another knit stitch, lift off this stitch, leapfrog it over the next, hold down that one with your thumb, remove it off the right needle, remove it off the left. So we're just going to keep doing this all the way down, and we have our finished square. I am going to do the last one off camera for time purposes, but we will come back and we're going to sew everything all together. Oh no! That's not good. Alright, and then for the last stitch, I am going to cut about 1 inch or so. We're going to yarn over. We're going to leapfrog this stitch over the yarn over, off the right needle, off the left needle, and we're going to pull this right needle all the way out, tighten up that stitch, and we completed our next rectangle. So again, you guys, I'm going to come back in with the third and final rectangle since it's pretty much the same thing, and then we'll sew it all together. Alright, so I have my rectangles ready. I'm going to take out the plastic needle. Might as well just take out the other stuff too, put the stuffing back in so it doesn't get dirty. And let's start sewing this together. This is the fun part. Kinda. Let's see how it goes. Alright, I'm going to thread up my needle using the tail. Right? Then it says that we have to stitch, close the sides to create a tube. Now you just want to pick the prettier side and fold it in, because we're going to flip this inside out. So on this side we have this kind of line here I don't like. This side doesn't have it. So we're just going to make this the prettier side and we're going to fold it in, and I'm going to start sewing these two pieces together. Right now, we are sewing the, they're calling it brown. I don't even, what? That looks red to me. Anyway, we're going to sew the square to this tube. So it's also good to pick the side that has a nice edge, which would be this one as well. The edge that we ended up casting off. However you did it, if the edge is on this side, you can just go back. I would recommend going back because that's the side that's going to be exposed to the top, and you want a nice pretty edge on it. Alright, so I have my edge sewn. We just have to attach this square. Alright. So we have our tube. We're going to take our square here and we're going to sew this in place. Again, pick the prettier side. So if we're flipping this inside out, you just want the good side to face inside here. So we're just going to go like this. Is that true? Let me see. We just have to visualize this. So yeah, I guess it's so. Alright, so we're just gonna sew. Why did it have a smooth tail there? Alright. Okay, so we're just gonna try to follow the tube to sew this together, and we're gonna leave all this excess stuff outside because once we flip it inside out, it'll be hidden. All right. Normally I would put like something cylindrical inside to get that nice round shape, but the thing that I normally use isn't big enough. So this time I really have to just eyeball this stuff. So Alright. This is taking about a minute. Comment below, let me know how it's going for you guys. I mean, this seems fairly straightforward, so it's nice to be on this side of things. I always don't like it when the kits are difficult. I'm not talking about this one, but the Halloween kits that may or may not have shown up on my channel as of yet is due to the fact that they were horrible kits. You know, even the toughest ones, I feel like the Dollar Tree ones are always difficult, but the Halloween ones that I did were atrocious. So comment below if you've done any of those from Five Below. It's a different company from this one, so rest assured these kits that I've done so far aren't that bad. But we are going to be doing the Wicked ones, which are from the same company that was bad, so I'm going to be very frustrated with those. Right, we are almost all the way around. Just making sure I get these last few bits.
Wow.
Hopefully this ends up looking like a cup, because I feel a little lost without my cylinder. It's hard to make a circle when you're sewing into a square. But once you get all the way around, I'm going to use this piece to tie it together. And I want to be careful that I don't crush it to pull on the yarn too much. It'll shrink your cup down. But I'm just going to, I guess double knotting is okay. I'm going to cut an inch or so off of this, or you could just leave it. Add it as stuffing, actually. Alright. So now we have to turn this inside out. So everything's going to be nice and tucked in. And it kind of looks like... not really, but it's as round as as round can be. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we have to do the other end, but we're going to put the stuffing in. Okay, so let's do that now. You know, I feel like maybe this should have been done last, because we did end up covering that nice pretty edge, and I think the liquid should not be level with the cup. But that's how they have it. So I'm going to go take my stuffing now, and I'm going to stuff away. I feel like also the stuffing isn't enough to make it nice and cuppy like, but what we're going to do... Oh. Good thing we didn't cut it. I need some. I need this. Let's go back in here, then stuff it, and then I'm going to take my needle. We have to sew the end together. So thread this up, and then we just have to start in one spot here, and we're just going to gather the stitches. So go in and out of these stitches. Right, at first you're not going to pull it right away. You want to be able to just go through this without bunching up the stitches, because we're going to do that after. I like to have it more controlled than just to do it all at once right away. Okay. And then once you've gotten all the way around, then we can start pulling things. All right. So just make sure you don't pull too much to where you start pulling that length that we sewn in from the other end. So now you can kind of focus on how it's pulling. We're just going to keep pulling this until that center gets smaller. And it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to do a little bit of sewing because there's too many stitches on here. It's never going to be a super closed hole. So I'm just going to go in now and kind of go in and out of the edging here. Okay, and then when we get to a closed situation here, I'm just gonna find an opportunity to tie a knot. I'm not a sewer, so if you know a better way to do this, by all means. We're gonna sew this together. Now, I'm not gonna want to cut this because in the photo, it looks like we have to put this tag on here, and we can save yarn by using the same piece. So I'm just going to remove that off the needle because right now we have to do the, yeah, who am I fooling? This isn't this is a square, not a circle. But we're going to take the handle now. And it says to fold in half and sew the sides together, which is crazy, but we're going to do it. So I guess just put it in the other end here and just hope for the best and sew it sideways. But this is what we're doing. And if you do a few, it's gonna start folding on its own, so that works. But this is such a small piece. Right, if you can, I guess. I mean, I should have done this before. If you can tuck this piece in there. Try to do that and sew it in there. Otherwise, you can just cut it out. Okay, but we're reaching the other end. So now what we can do is sew this. We're supposed to make this the handle. So we have to attach this to one side. Looks like it's naturally folding this way. Look how cute that is. So we're going to do it here. So let us take a moment and sew it around one end. Make sure that's secure. All right. And I don't know, just so that I don't have to cut pieces off and retie, I'm just going to stick this inside the center of our handle, Just snake it up in there. Gotta get it going into the other side like this. All right. Then we can resituate our handle. All right, looks like there's a natural bend here for some reason. I'm going to take advantage of that and sew that onto this spot here. Okay. And then just secure it. Right, and once you think that the handle is good to go, I'm going to go in and find a moment and tie a knot. Okay, and once I've tied my knot, I'm going to go in here and out in a random spot, doesn't matter where. And we're just going to pull this end. And then we're going to cut this flush to the surface. And if you want to hide any strings that are sticking out, just give it a little squish. All right, so we have that. After attaching the handle, we're going to sew on the, oh my gosh, maybe that's why we needed that brown piece, because we have to sew on this thing. All right, well, too late now. And I don't know where that is. I guess, oh my gosh, we'll just have to use. All right, well, anyway, we're going to find a spot here. We have to stick on our eyes. You want to make sure to kind of hold it down for a few seconds and allow all the adhesive on that sticker to stick to as much of the surface of the cup as possible so that it stays on. If you really wanted to, take a fine needle and some sewing thread and you can sew around the edges to keep it in place. Let's do this other one. Same thing. Want to make sure that you hold this down a few seconds to get the surface of that adhesive to attach to much of this cup as possible. And then we're going to put on the mouth. At least I'm guessing this is the mouth. Could be the nose. What does it say? Yeah, it's the mouth. It's probably like, it's hot. Okay. And then we have to do the little tag of spill it. The tea bag tag. Alright, so we're just going to snake this up here. Stick it in one end and try to have it come out just along the edge, because this is going to be the tea bag that's hanging. Okay. And then you can take your tea bag, stick that through, and just leave it long enough, I guess, to have it hang. I mean, it says 5 inches, but that is way too long. So I'm just gonna cut it short. And we're gonna tie this wherever it is. So one, tie it twice. And then I can just cut this short here. Alright, so we have our little tea bag. Then we have to sew this guy. I mean, you really don't need it, but whatever. So, I guess that's what the other string was for. I had sewn that in, but it's not gonna hurt just to get more yarn. Alright, and then we're just gonna cut a bit off and start sewing these pieces together. Oh, wrong one. There's 2 perforated holes here. I'm going to use one. I'm just going to tie this together. Okay, then I'm going to go in to some of the stitching here, and then we're going to attach the other side to it. And we're just gonna do one more sew here. Go around, tie our knot. So now I'm just going to go into a random spot, come out through the other side, I'm going to cut it, squeeze it so you can hide that piece there. You can do that the same with this little straggler here. Okay. Go in through one end, come out the other, pull that all the way through. All right, and there we have it, you guys. Cup of tea coming at you. Look at that, so cute. All right, so this is how it's supposed to look like. Comment below, let me know how it went. This wasn't that bad. It's a little silly. I don't like this drawstring effect here. I think it'll work if they give you enough stuffing, but it's just all wrinkly because it's not enough. And this was highly unnecessary, but anyway. So there you have it, you guys. I wanted to take this opportunity to mention that I am offering a special NFL giveaway on my original channel. I will leave that link in the description box below, along with the rules to it. I thought it would be beneficial for you guys because I know you always have questions. I'm picking 2 winners out of that giveaway. We have a nail winner and we have a craft winner. The craft winner is going to win a bunch of goodies, a gift card, and a 1-hour StreamYard session, which is something similar to this. You can point it at your desk and work on any projects that you're getting stuck with. Or if you want to just learn how to knit or crochet, or both, one-on-one. Or if you are inspired to do a channel, or currently have a channel and need some advice. So it's just 1 free hour to pick my brain on whatever it is you're working on or want to work on. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Isms by Josie. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.